October 21st, 2023. Well, another one bites the dust today. Jim Jordan fails to get the speaker vote to win, and the third. Now we have two potential candidates have ran and been defeated, and at this point, there's no immediate obvious choice. Uh, it looks like everybody now feels free to throw their hat in the ring and give a try for it. And this is kind of exactly what I predicted a few videos ago when I said this is a complete disaster. Another thing I'm going to probably predict is that if if we act whenever we do get a speaker, we're probably going to have somebody that the people that started this little insurrection will like less than they liked Kevin McCarthy. I mean, I think that they just have really messed up here because, well, I think that's really kind of sad that they didn't go ahead and pick Jim Jordan, considering he's a good man. But the thing you also have to realize is he's probably not best suited for the speaker role. He's probably much better suited for his role as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and doing these investigations. Because we have the fact that the Gang of Eight didn't consider is that there are moderates that are just as obstructionist as they could be, and once they were unleashed, I think sometimes conservatives don't get the idea that they're the majority in this country. They're not. But the problem is that they have solutions that are much better than everybody else has. And if they don't succeed in getting some of them in place, the country's going to continue to go down the drain. And that's the reason why you have to be able to be willing to compromise and maneuver a little bit. And in fact, and I don't see what was so bad about McCarthy. I mean, this seems to me to be completely brainless. I mean, given the fact that there are moderates in this House, you need to have somebody that can kind of corral them along with and try to find some kind of a path forward, because you only have a 4-vote majority, and that's under some threat right now because one of those people is under indictment, several indictments, and at last I saw he was begging for more money for his legal defense. That doesn't look too good for him. I think later this year, pretty soon, I think we'll have a special election in Utah. I'm not sure what the exact date is. Perhaps it's the typical November election day, but I'll have to check on that. But the point is, when that happens, maybe we'll get somebody back but long term, we've got problems on numbers. Okay, if you like these videos, please give me a like. Of course, appreciate that, and subscribe if you haven't, and of course, you can click the bell for notifications. Yeah, so that's kind of the way I see this, and I don't know exactly where we go from here. Worst case scenario is some people actually put Jeffries in as speaker, which would be a disaster. Although it wouldn't be as big a disaster if they had a majority, because he would be in a similar position, presumably, that McCarthy was in. Even worse, because he'd have a majority that's actually against his agenda. And effectively, he could have a vote to vacate jumped on him at any moment as well. So, because I don't presume that they would then change that rule if they end up going that way. And so if they do, then they really become Democrats, which I don't think that'll happen at this point. I suspect that what will eventually happen is somebody who's a lot weaker and less influential than McCarthy was will eventually be picked. I don't know when they'll get around to it. Right now, the problem is, since there's no obvious choice, you have several contenders. I guess some people think Donalds is the way to go next, but to me, he seems a little too junior for that role at this point. But you never know; they might go for it. Whether or not you can get the necessary votes with him, I don't know either, because he's still pretty much a conservative and maybe doesn't have as big of a history as somebody like Jordan does. But it's and there's several other people. I think a complete relative unknown is probably what will end up happening if I would just to guess. somebody that really hasn't made much of an impact on TV yet, who isn't really that associated with any particular faction. Um, Sort of more of a blank slate, you know. That would seem to be the way that this thing may end up. It could be wrong about that. And then there's the idea of just having this speaker pro tem be given the powers of speaker, which apparently a lot of people are opposed to that too. Although that's something that could conceivably happen with it. I don't know whether the Democrats would go for that either, because they're still hoping to get Jeffries in. So, that's another, spin on this thing. But as I predicted all along, it's a disaster and it's playing out just about the way I said it would. Not happy about it, but it's a fact. I don't know why people think destroying your own political movement is a good move if you're in a political movement. I mean, look, if anybody thinks under the current situation any sort of a conservative agenda is going to get anywhere, I think they're kidding themselves. So, anyway, that said, of course, we're still awaiting what's going to happen in the Middle East. I've noticed that we now have 2 American hostages have been released by the Hamas, which is obviously a ploy to delay the Israeli ground operation, because there's presumably at least another couple of hundred hostages there. If we're going to wait around for hostages to be released, well, they're not all going to be released ever until there is no likelihood of a ground operation, and a lot of prisoners of Palestinian troublemakers and terrorists are all released as well, and it's some kind of a swap. And then you're back to where you were before this whole thing broke out. And so we'll have to see how that goes, but I'd kind of make a comment on that. I mean, Biden, I don't think was a whole lot of help in what he did there, but and it seems like he's deliberately trying to hold things back, which whatever. I don't know. We'll have to see how long Israel will wait on this. To some degree, it could partly be also a question of just getting ready. I mean, there's a lot of preparations, training type activities, planning, and also reconnaissance to try to. Obviously, they would like to rescue any of the hostages they can. However, that may be very difficult to do much of that in this environment. So, and on the other hand, I don't know how long Israel can really afford to be mobilized at this level and do nothing. So that's been always one of the weaknesses of Israel, is the staying power in terms of mobilization, because it takes all those people out of the workforce who are now getting paid for being on duty and also aren't working and contributing to the economy or paying taxes themselves, at least except for whatever they might pay on their military pay, which would be probably not that much. So anyhow, anyway, we'll have to see how that pans out. And we can hope that the Republicans get together with a speaker, but right now, any legislation, I guess on the one hand, spending will be kind of on hold for a while. But at the same time, this continuing resolution will eventually wear out. And so anyway, that's about it for now. I'll, of course, post on Rumble, as always, my backup channel, and you can follow me day to day. I'll usually be posting on X on a variety of topics. So until next time.